Hello everyone, very good evening. So this is day 15 questions that we are discussing today. The first question, if you can see here, it is examine the role of Christianity in shaping pan-Indian ethnic identities such as Naga and Kuki. How has the church transformed the traditional youth and community institutions? How has it done? So how to write this answer? First, you think of someone who has talked about it. Especially, see, you should have some scholars who have talked about the modernization or this impact. And I told you regarding Christianity, I have already made a video on it where you can go and check. Okay, so from there you'll get many of the scholars. I have given multiple scholars over there. And after knowing that somebody who has talked about the modernization that was done by Christianity, then within the body part, so you'll introduce it, and within the body part, you're going to talk about how it created pan ethnic identities. So, this part you'll address by creating various points under it. Okay, so after writing the first part, then you'll be writing how the transformation has happened in the youth and community. So you'll be using a subheading youth and then you'll be using a subhead communities. Okay, so or else you can write under this. So you have to address these two subheads within the answer. So in the introduction, if I have to tell you one famous work, that is Christianity in Northeast India by Professor Frederick S. Downs. So Frederick S. Downs says that Christianity not merely a theological conversion, but it's an ideology of modernization, which provided a cognitive tool. Okay, so cognitive tool means tools that can make them think. Okay, so cognitive tools have been provided to tribes to negotiate with the post colonial world. So, Christianity, according to him, has helped the tribes to negotiate with the post-colonial world, and it facilitated. Okay, so previously there was village identity. Now it got converted into pan-ethnic. Pan-ethnic means pan-Indian, means all over the India, right? So here there are many ethnic groups. Now all together they have formed an identity, pan-ethnic identity. So what role has been played in the body? You'll be writing first thing, you know that language. Okay, so language has been standardized. Okay, linguistic standardization happened. Julian Jacobs, in the work The Nagas, notes that missionaries have reduced the oral dialects. Okay, so missionaries have reduced the oral dialects to a single written script. Okay, so there was a written script for Angamis. Example, 10 Ide. Okay, so this was the written script. So first thing what Christian missionaries have done is they have changed the oral dialects to a single written script. So now because of that, it has created a standard print language. So this allowed the clans to imagine themselves as one Naga nation or one Zo people for the first time. So because of this, they started assuming that they are one. All the Zos started assuming they are one. All the Nagas they have started assuming as one. Okay. So in the latest mentioning of 2025, Them Jen Younger. Okay, you can just write down. The stylus is not functioning. Them Jen, Tem Them, Jen Jane, Yanger. Temjer Younger, sorry, Temjen Younger says that or argues that missionary linguistics have created Nagamis and English as lingua franca, and they have effectively served as a communicative glue for Naga nationalism. Okay, so Pan Naga ethnicity was a result of the language standardization or linguistic standardization. Then you'll also notice that there are church associations. So first is linguistic standardization, then you can write the ecumenism, ecumenism and associational politics. So here S. M. Dubé, S.M. Dubé says that church associations which were present, they have brought all these warring villages, like headhunting was a practice among the Nagas, and they used to fight with each other. Now all these warring tribes who used to go for war with each other, okay, so now they have been brought onto a single platform. So church associations have brought them onto single platform. Now this has created a church unity which preceded the political unity. Okay, so now they have laid the foundation for organizations such as Naga Club. So before political part, so it laid a foundation for Naga Club. So now association politics got developed. Are you understanding how pan identities? Pan identity means people belonging to different ethnicities have now came under a single ethnic identity. How did this happen? This happened according to these people because of Christianity in these aspects. Okay, so now again, if you see Professor T.B. Subba, Professor T.B. Subba argues that Christianity gave tribes a global history. So there was Ni Minashe, Ni Minashe movement among the Kuki-Zo groups claiming descent from the lost tribes of Israel. Okay, so previously they are claiming descent from the lost tribes of the Israel. So now because of this movement which happened, this provided a primordial identity which is distinct from the Hinduism or Buddhism mainstream. Okay, so the Buddhism or Hinduism which was present, that is different. Okay, so whatever this identity that was there to them, it was global in nature. So global identity has been provided to these tribes because of Christianity. So whether whatever we are discussing is true or false, we exactly do not know. But these have led to the formation of pan ethnic identity. Okay, so next, after writing this, so first you will say linguistic standardization, then ecumenism, and the associated politics, then global identity has been given because of Christianity. Okay, so it gave, because of Christianity they got global history, and now they have started claiming that their ancestors or they have the descent from some of the tribes from Israel. Okay, so then in the body part of second aspect, okay, so transformation of traditional institutions. First thing, youth dormitory, which was center of education and defense during the earlier times, which Hemendorf has described as the university of the tribes. So he described it as a university of tribes. But what has happened? Missionaries have replaced these youth dormitories by Christian youth fellowships and Sunday schools. Okay, so this has been created. And you need to understand that this has reoriented youth from tribal warriors to soldiers of the Christ. Okay, so now because of this, it has fostered trans tribal solidarity rather than village based loyalty. Okay, so there was a study that was done by Kami Chopi 2025. So this has highlighted that now the tribes have become warriors to the soldiers. No, sorry, they have changed from warriors to soldiers of the Christ. Okay, so this change has been noticed in the youth. And next, you'll also notice that previously the status was gained by sacrificing mithuns. Okay, so it was a feast of merit. Now, what happened? The status is now acquired by becoming a church elder. Okay, previously if you sacrifice something and if you are giving the feast, then you are getting the merit. Okay, even J.H. Hutton has noticed this recently. Work by AC Sinha, work by AC Sinha has highlighted that now the status is acquired by becoming a church elder or donor. Okay, so the feast has been secularized. Previously, the feast used to be part of their religion. Now, the feast has been secularized into Christmas feast and community teas. Okay, and next thing is trans-border kinship has been arise. So there was a study by Celine. Okay, so Celine Hawkip, who has noted that Kuki-Zo groups split between India and Myanmar. So the church, which is there, it is functioning as a trans-border kinship institution, which is sustaining the emotional continuity where the political borders are failing. Okay, so political borders fails there. So the church is functioning as a trans-border kinship unit. So in the conclusion, what you can mention is that you can write the current trend is inculturation. The current trend is inculturation. Inculturation. Okay, inculturation. the church is reviving the symbols like the log drum to create a syncretic modernity. Okay, so now it is trying to combine both old symbols with the modern things. So syncretic modernity. So because of this, instead of people now tribal peoples want to revive their indigenous traditions and customs because they have lost it. Now they want to revive it. So before tribals fighting for it, now the Christianity missionaries are trying to combine both the past traditional ancient one with the modern one. So this is creating a syncretic modernity. So this is more towards inculturation, so which ensures the survival of the tribal soul within the Christian framework. Now, the Christianity will also survive because it is allowing for the changes within. Okay, so this has been discussed by one of the scholar in the work The Great Indian Experiment in 2020, Arkotong Longcumar. Okay, so Arkotong Longcumar is a scholar who has talked about it. So what is happening now is inculturation. Okay, inculturation is happening, and now they are trying to revive the earlier symbols. Okay, to create a syncretic modernity. So this is with respect to the first question. I hope you have understood how to write it. First, how it has shaped panethnic identities, then how it has transformed youth and community institutions. You have to write. Okay. And then see youth and community institutions. I told you three things, right? So first, youth dormitory is changing, then fees of merit is also changing, and then transborder kinship that is created because Sealand Hayokip has talked about how this church is functioning as transborder kinship institution. Here the political borders are failing. Okay, so this is with respect to it. And then we have the second question: compare integrationist approach towards tribal communities with assimilationist policies of Western nation states. See, simply you have to write the concept of nation state. Okay, so when you write the answer, you have to link the concepts that you have learned in the syllabus. Okay, so here the relation between nation state and the tribes is defined by the tension between homogeneity and heterogeneity. Okay, so while Western states like USA, Australia, they have adopted assimilation. India, guided by the warrior Elvin's tribal Panchsheel. Okay, so we move towards integration, which is a salad bowl approach. Their Western part is melting pot approach, and Indians version is salad bowl. Okay, so where we allow the tribes to develop on their own genius. And when you write the comparison, so this you'll be writing in the introduction talking about how the relationship between the nation state and tribes is present, and this is a tension. This is generally a tension between homogeneity and heterogeneity, right? So that you'll be telling, and how the West and India part is there, you'll be talking about it. And then within the body, you'll be writing about Western assimilation, how it happens in the West, and integration. So on what philosophy? Western assimilation and Indian integration. So you will be talking about what is the philosophy. Here it is monoculturalism, here it is pluralism, right? So we talk about unity in diversity, but there is one nation, one culture, which was adopted in the Western part. And then what is the method that is used? Here they use the coercive method. And India, we go for protective method. Constitutional safeguards are provided with fifth and sixth schedule, right? So this is there. And then land rights, here they have been denied the land rights until recent reversals. Okay, so till recently there was terra nullius, that means no land was given to them. Okay, terra nullius, that means they were denied land till recently. Okay, and what we follow here with respect to land rights, so recognition of tribal rights over land and forest from the outset. So we don't want to alienate them. However, though our system has its own flaws, but philosophy and policy wise, we follow this. Okay, so you'll be writing with respect to the comparison of these two. Then autonomous district councils, you have to write regarding it. Okay, so autonomous district councils, the question is asking how do they reflect India's model? Okay, so how they are trying to show that we are going for integrationist approach. So autonomous district councils were part of sixth schedule, which embody the Bardoloi committee's vision. Okay, so on what basis did we get it? Bardoloi committee had a vision or has talked about sharing power without shattering the union. Right. So this vision has been embodied in the autonomous district councils, which is included in the sixth schedule. So first thing what you have to mention is state within a state. Autonomous district councils tend to act like a state within a state. So here it is internal self-determination. If you see B.K. Roy Burman describes autonomous district councils as a mechanisms for internal sovereignty. By granting legislative powers over land, forest, and inheritance, the state is integrating the tribe politically while allowing them to go on their own social life. Okay, you are allowing them to go on themselves in their own social life from their own ways, but at the same time, you are integrating them politically. Okay, so recently there was study by Harikumar Palatadka. Harikumar, who argue that the Karbi Onlong Autonomous Council exemplifies that they are denying or like developmental renaissance. Okay, so initially they were fighting against the developmental mechanisms, but because they have powers within the autonomous district council, now there is developmental renaissance, which is integrating the traditional leadership with modern administration. Okay, so first thing, state within a state is functioning. Okay, so now internal self determination has happened. Then we did not ask them to follow our own way of development, but we followed legal pluralism, preservation of their own genius, because autonomous district councils shield the tribal mode of protection. Oh, sorry, tribal mode of production from capitalist laws. Okay, so now this, whatever they want to do, they can do within their own laws. Okay, and then it also allows them follow the customary law, which is preferred over the IPC, so which is respecting the tribal worldview of restorative justice. Okay, so this is also one important thing we have to keep in mind, and this has been highlighted by NK Das. So NK Das, in the study regards autonomous district councils, says that autonomous district councils validate the customary law over IPC. Okay, so they're giving more importance to customary law. So that means respecting the tribal worldview of restorative justice. Okay, and at the same time, SK Chaubey is the one who says that the ADC councils, okay, so autonomous district councils shield the tribals mode of production from the other capitalist laws. Okay, so these things you can include. And one more thing is autonomous district councils are examples of flexible federalism. Okay, so ADCs show the flexible federalism. ADCs show the flexible federalism. So here recently there was a contemporary study by Dadul Devri. So where autonomous district councils are observed, and this, according to them, autonomous district councils have provided a nested sovereignty where distinct groups find autonomy within the large state structure. Okay, so thereafter you can write the conclusion. So while the policy that we follow is integrationist, Virginia's Kaka has warned that in practice, the developmental state often acts like assimilationist. Okay, so the policy is integrationist. That's fine. The Virginia's Kaka says that in practice, the state which is oriented more toward development often acts as assimilationist because they make them undergo displacement without offering a proper resettlement and rehabilitation. So the autonomous distinct councils, so when the policy is integrationist, but while acting because they are oriented towards development, they go towards assimilationist. So in this scenario, the autonomous district councils remain the strongest institutional firewall against this action. So their becoming assimilationist can be stopped through the ADC councils, which ensures the integration, okay, and which enables the tribes to feel they are politically connected to the mainstream. Okay, so this you can write in your answer. Okay, this is with respect to autonomous district councils, how they can ensure integration and the approaches towards tribes.